Hey traders, good morning to you. Yesterday I got asked by a student of my mentor room, hey, what setup I'm most actively trading? Remember that I teach 3 setups in my mentor room, so here's my answer. I personally have a candid preference for the breakout entry as my #1 signature, all-time favorite, and a close second is the trap entry. Now, why is that? Isn't the pullback that I also teach a solid setup? And my answer here is hands down, it absolutely is. In fact, I also trade it, but not as often. Again, why is it? You may be wondering. It really comes down to your style as a trader. If you pause and think for a second, it is in these setups, either my breakout or the TT or trap pattern, that a decision is going to be made by the side, ultimately taking control of the price action. It is therefore at these pivot points, or SR levels as we call it, that the most friction, the tug of war, is going to be existing between one side, the buyers, and other side, the sellers, to successfully either defend or penetrate a specific liquidity pool well depicted through the SRs that we mark out. It is therefore not surprising that often we see an almost immediate reaction into handsome gains when one side truly takes control. This can come in the form of a breakout, in which case the supply or demand is ultimately absorbed and it creates an exploitable leeway, which even if far from being always the case, it is definitely sufficiently recurring. We then have a second instance where a breakout fails, even if it looked like initially that were to be occurring, and that's where, through the trap entry technique, and assuming of course that we've performed situation awareness and we are conscious of the contextual setting, one can equally capitalize on the purge of one side that, hey, recognizes we're in trouble here. It's better that we scramble for the exit and we take advantage of it. So in either entry strategy, breakout, or trap pattern, the main takeaway is that there is an interaction at a key decision point that inevitably leads to an expansion of volatility, and as savvy traders, through the right read of the market, we can cash in on it. Now let me show you through a live trade taken a few days ago in the mentor room that I share with all the students what this concept looks into practice. All right, so let's take a deeper dive into this notion of breakouts and or trap patterns being the easiest process for someone who is getting his or her feet wet into this strategy, as opposed to pullback entries, and why I said that I have a candid preference for breakout trades, and also similarly because they actually seem to happen most, if not all the time, around this key location point, trap patterns as well. All right, so this is a trade that I entered earlier this week. The students of the room were notified almost immediately the moment that I put on this trade. Phantom BTC 4-hour breakout, which travel about 2 to 1. Now remember that the crypto space has not been in a protracted bullish phase, therefore we need to be fast and smart enough to take profits off the table in a pretty snappy manner. Do not think twice. Notice here that we had a huge level of resistance, so that was where I believe the collection of a 2 to 1 risk reward made a lot of sense. But the point that I want to make in this video is the following. Here we had what we are after on a breakout. If you think about all the components that are going to be ticking off the box for us to enter this trade, that was the candle. If you want to find out more about all those aspects that we have to be monitoring before vindicating a trade, the course is what you want to be signing up for and then finding out by yourself. And remember, that is just going to be ground zero for you, building the knowledge base, and from there I will be providing the guidance, which, and here's the real kicker, can accelerate your learning curve by years, as opposed to, you know, being on a, I guess, lonely endeavor yourself. So this was the trade, and the point that, as I said, that I want to make is that this is a very deterministic and is a very clear level that we are fixated, we are monitoring, that needs to be broken. Okay, so it's going to be more about the price-based decision that we're going to be making if the chart tells us and communicates the right story. Okay, so breakouts and trap patterns are going to be, for the most part, location based. Therefore, we are very clear, it's very clear in our mind what needs to happen for us to take a step in this market. Whereas if we're going to be thinking about pullback trades, pullbacks are going to be more time-based, because depending on the time scale that you're going to be monitoring, that entry either may happen and be visible or may not happen. That's why I'm saying that if you really want to pinpoint an area that is going to be, as I always say, a decision point, and the market is going to have to make up its mind, the breakout and the trap pattern, these are the two entry setups that I teach that are going to be most convenient for us to monitor, and in a way it's just going to make it the whole process much easier for us, because we select our watch list and from there we know what needs to happen to for us to pull the trigger. And as I said, and just let me just reiterate that pullbacks are going to be more time base dependent. All right, so that is the point that I wanted to make in this video today. The main point, as I said in the intro video, is that breakouts and or traps are going to be happening whenever we interact at a key decision point that inevitably is going to be leading to an expansion of volatility in some form, you know, a big expansion or a slight expansion. And we know, therefore, that savvy traders, the smart money, through the right read of the market, which is what we always try to accomplish through situational awareness in the bigger time frames, we can exploit this movements. All right, so with that being said, I'm gonna now leave you with the previous recording. These are recordings that I'm going to go through multiple times per day. This is exclusively received by the members of the mentor room, and here what I walk you through is the setup as it's happening live. Okay, so as I said, if you're gonna be signing up to really be mindful that as part of your journey, you need to find ways to accelerate your learning curve, these videos that I'm putting out either through live setups or by providing feedbacks to users are all the rage. People absolutely love it, and I find it to be a very interactive manner as opposed to just essentially typing myself, and that is actually not something that is going to be building that much human connection, and these videos certainly make it more personable for students of the mentor room. Enjoy the video. Cheers. All right, up next, let's talk about Phantom BTC. This is another breakout long that I have now, ever since yesterday, I gotta say, I got filled. So this is a trade that, unlike the previous videos, I have not taken it off the daily, but rather off the 4 hour. And I'm going to be explaining the reasoning. Now, first of all, remember situational awareness. What is going on in the daily time frame? So here we can see that we're starting to see the 21 period TL turning around. Nice to see that. And also that happens to be combined with all the metrics pointing in our favor. And if you pay close attention, you'll notice that this is once again cap and handle. Excellent pattern to be trading, especially if we see spike in volume, which is not really visible through the daily, but it definitely happened and was nicely depicted through the 4 hour. And that's the time frame that I'll be taking as a reference to take this trade and to manage this trade, I should say. Now, in terms of price history, notice that this price chart looks way better than the previous one I was reporting on. The previous one was a lot more choppy, Algorand. This one, Phantom, has been putting on some really, really nice runners ever since its inception. So that tells me that the fundamentals and the activity and interest by investors and institutions here has been much stronger. Now, let's get into the nuts and bolts. What did I get in terms of readings in this market? Okay, well, certainly we had a couple of levels that we had to first break through, and that happened. So I had in mind a market that might be putting on a breakout, and a substantial one, but we had to get past these hurdles. And so we did through this candle. Let's analyze this candle because the volume increase is very notable. Okay, so since the volume increase is very notable, I wanted to place a trade, but not on such an elongated candle, but rather I placed a trade on a retest around this point that you see right here. Okay, so I got fully filled, my entire position got filled, and my stop loss in this case, let me just work it out. My stop loss was about 5%. So I decided that in this case in particular, because this is a market that doesn't have that much volume compared to Link, compared to other high volume and high market cap projects, I decided that I wanted to have my stop loss a little bit more ample. So I am yet to move to break even. I will be looking to do so around that 100% projection. So if we actually work out the distance from my entry to the stop loss, as I said, is around 5%. The 100% projection would be around 4%. I'm happy to actually just, slightly front run my move to break even as long as we get that area hit. Now, something that you have to bear in mind that is when we trade, this is a holistic approach and you need to understand each and every chart independent from each other, because we're going to be getting different contexts in play. And what I also noticed in this chart is that we have this level of resistance of this 4 hour. Okay, notice here that we had an important pivot point. The market consolidated, range bounding for a few candles, and then we sold hard. So that makes it even more relevant for me to move to break even around that point. And also that's why I did not want to actually take a trade off this elongated candle, but rather on a pullback that adjusts my E ratio, my efficiency ratio, to above 0.75. Okay, so we are not quite there. We have to still revisit the 739 or 38 Satoshi, and then I'll be moving to break even. And the expectations, of course, would be that this market, at the very least, we travel to 700, 800 Satoshis. If that is the case, that will coincide with that level of resistance. But notice that that's a 2.6 risk reward, quite nice, bright prospects. So. And we're starting to see that ever since this breakout, notice that the market keeps being bought up on weakness, on dips, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. So that's a pretty good sign that reinforces the notion that there's no point of me moving to break even prematurely. Okay, so there you have it. Cheers. Hey traders, Ivan from Global Prime here. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like, a comment below, and remember, subscribe to the channel and click the bell button to get notified of the next video update. And whenever you're ready to join my course and the mentor room that I run, then be sure to click the link below, sign up, and I'll do my absolute best to take your trading to the next level. See you on the inside.